It is not a difficult process to produce your own wine. You do need a few bits and pieces, some time, and of course a supply of fruit, berries or vegetables. This year we have a few quince. Not a well-known fruit these days, but a great one if you are into self-sufficiency, as it can be stewed, made to jam, jelly, a paste, and of course wine. Of the same family as apples and pears, it is a pome fruit, but a little different, as it does not soften as it ripens. It remains hard until it rots, or a bloody cockatoos predate it, and it has to be cooked to be eaten. It does, however, change from a green to a golden yellow colour, indicating its ripeness. I ferment my wine in a 4.5 litre demijohn. That's 1 gallon in the old measurement, equivalent to about 6 bottles of wine. The quantities mentioned here are for this size demijohn, and you will need to adjust them to whatever volume of your container happens to be. Whatever fruit or berry you are using, you will need to have at least 2 kilograms of it after it has been washed and then crushed, squeezed or grated. Most fruits have a bloom on them, which includes naturally occurring yeasts. Washing will remove this bloom. Quince have a fuzz on the skin. I remove this with a nail brush. I then top and tail each fruit, quarter them, and then the hard part starts. Grate them. Place the must in a clean container, cover with water that has been boiled and allowed to cool. Add a crushed Campden tablet, mix it through the must, cover and leave for 24 hours. The Campden tablet yields sulfur dioxide, which is a preservative which will prevent spoilage of the must while the juice and flavours of the fruit infuse with the water. The surface of the grated quince will oxidise to a brown colour. Ignore this, there's nothing you can do about it, and it will not affect the wine. After 24 hours, strain the must through a sterilised cloth into a saucepan. I use a clean tea towel after scalding it with boiling water. Then squeeze as much of the liquid out of the strained must as possible. Discard the strained fruit. Place the saucepan on the stove and heat just to the point of simmering, and dissolve 1.25 kilo of sugar into it and 1 teaspoon of yeast nutrient. The quantity of sugar used here will leave a residual sweetness in your wine. If you prefer a dry wine, reduce the amount of sugar to say about 1 kilo. If possible, while still just warm, transfer the must to your fermentation container, sprinkle a teaspoon of yeast on the surface, fit an airlock and put in a warm spot and let fermentation begin. I use bread making yeast. The yeast consumes the sugar, producing carbon dioxide gas, which bubbles out through the airlock, and alcohol. Fermentation is temperature dependent, quicker in warm conditions, and obviously slower when cool. During fermentation, the yeast consume the sugar and produce carbon dioxide gas and alcohol. You will know when fermentation has started when the carbon dioxide gas bubbles through the airlock. This will continue until either all the sugar has been used or the alcohol content kills off the yeast. As mentioned, the process is temperature dependent and may take place over a few weeks or even a month or so. Your wine can be tasted at any time, and if you are happy with it, just siphon out the amount you want and enjoy it. Be sure to replace the airlock each time. Most wines, however, do mature, that is, taste better, if left in a bottle for some time. There will be a sediment in the bottle of the demijohn, which if disturbed will cause your wine to be cloudy. To avoid this, siphon the wine from the demijohn using a clear plastic tube into your bottles, avoiding the layer of sediment. Bottles will need to be capped off airtight to prevent spoilage. And be warned that should you bottle your wine before fermentation has finished, the pressure off the carbon dioxide can be enough to cause the bottles to burst. I and others have successfully used this method for many years on a variety of fruits and berries.